In this video, I'm going to take you along with me as I try out the Sony 90mm f2.8 G OSS macro lens as my only lens for the day. I'll be shooting at Lettuce Lake Park in Tampa, Florida. Most of the time, I'll be shooting from the 3,500-foot-long boardwalk that is about 3 feet above the water level. Because of the elevation, I'll have to shoot down on anything below the level of the boardwalk. I went on Saturday, which is one of the worst days to go because it is very busy on the weekend. I'm not going to be shooting what I consider to be macro today, except for maybe one shot. True macro for me is shooting tiny insects at 1:1 ratio or full screen. I'll instead be shooting close-up photography of what I find in nature that catches my eye. A lot of it will be things like leaves, especially ferns, textures, and a couple of birds. This is not a birding lens, by the way, so don't expect too much. I'm using the Sony a7R III 41-megapixel camera, so most of these photos have been cropped. As I have said before, I use Photoshop to process my photos along with Topaz Denoise AI and Sharpen AI. Almost all of these photos have been denoised with Topaz Denoise AI, and a few were run through Sharpen AI to help sharpen the depth of field slightly. I'll be making another video on shooting true macro with this lens. This is the first macro lens I've ever owned, so I was excited to get out and try it. I do a lot of close-up photography with my Sony FE 100-400mm GM lens and some with my Sony FE 200-600mm G lens. The 100-400mm works great for close-up photography, but you need extension tubes for true macro. The 400mm lets you stay further away from your subject so you don't scare it away. With the 90mm macro, you have to get much closer, and that sometimes scares away what you're trying to take a picture of, and that's a bummer. After you see the photos, I'll tell you my first impression of shooting with this lens. The Sony FE 90mm f2.8 G OSS lens is an excellent lens. The resolution is very good and it works great for macro photography. That being said, it is, in my opinion, what you would expect, a lens for macro lovers. If you shoot multiple types of photography, like I do, it is very hard for me to go out in the field with just this lens alone. I have done nature photography for so many years, I feel I have to have a long telephoto lens like the 100-400mm or 200-600mm with me at all times. So if you are a wildlife photographer like me, you may find taking this lens out by itself challenging. I was always seeing things I wanted to photograph, but it was too far away with a 90mm lens. If you just go out with the intent of only doing macro photography, then it is great. I am still trying to get enough true macro photos to make the macro video, so I'll show you that once I get it finished. I will say this lens has a super small depth of field, as all macro lenses do. I was focus stacking a photo of a blanket flower, which is a fairly flat flower, and after stacking 22 photos together, I found I needed about twice that many to make everything sharp. Here's the photo. It's a cool photo, but not what I wanted. I'm used to a narrow depth of field because of the telephoto lens I shoot, but when you get right on top of a flower or anything else, you have a very, very narrow depth of field. So if you want everything in focus, like I do, you'll need to get good at focus stacking. In conclusion, let me just say, this is an excellent macro lens if you want to do a lot of macro photography. Since I do so many other types of nature photography, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it or not. I love close-up photography, but I can usually get good results with my 100 to 400 millimeter lens, so I'm not sure I want to pay $750 plus tax for a specialty lens. I bought this used from KEH in excellent plus condition. New, they are over $1,000. I'll decide after I finish the macro video whether to keep it for the times I want to do just macro or whether to sell it back to KEH. That's a lot of money to just sit on the shelf. I know this will never be my primary lens because of what I shoot, so it's a matter of, do I keep it for those times I really want to get a tight shot of something very, very small? I'll have to let you know. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button, and if you want to see more of my videos, please hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. It helps me with YouTube. If you want to be notified when I post a new video, hit that bell button. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.